Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Shay goes by.
Wake your punk ass up. That crust out your eyes.
Man, that's one of the most iconic characters of my childhood.
Yep.
Right there, George McFly. But we got the man who delivered that and developed that character to become iconic in his own right. Crispin Glover is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. You got a new movie, a new thriller, The Big Man, that's coming out, right?
The Bagman.
Excuse me, The Bagman that's coming out. Yep.
Yeah. Robert De Niro is the Bagman, I suppose, and John Cusack is hired by Robert De Niro, and it takes place in a motel, which that was the old title of it. And I'm somebody that's working at that hotel in this strange world that John Cusack ends up becoming involved in, that the Robert De Niro character has essentially control of.
Yeah, well, his character is we actually DB is our movie specialist.
Good.
Like and he always has the better than Siskel and Ebert ever did.
Good.
Best questions about movies and actors. Go ahead.
Good.
So you play Mr. Stenson, the motel owner, who is just a really big weirdo, and it's like for no reason, right? But I was wondering, there's a lot in this movie that is kind of like you can't miss any of it, or else you're not going to know what's going on. So what was it that drew you to the movie? Was it?
Well, it was the it was the dialogue. It was very well written dialogue, and it's in the genre of a thriller mystery. But even within the dialogue, there were nuances that are mysterious. I always like that. I'm a filmmaker myself. I tour around with my own shows and films, and I'm on tour right now. People can find out where I'll be on CrispinGlover.com. Actually, this weekend I'll be in Ottawa, and then the next weekend I'll be near San Diego at the Las Palmas Theater. But in any case, I like things where people think and question elements, and so anything that has a little bit of mystery to it. And the dialogue in this film is very well written, had a bit of mystery. I feel like an audience, when there's questions, an audience can use their own brain, and that's important.
Okay. You know, your history, like you're an actor's actor. I mean, I don't know if that's insulting to you. But you have a lineage of acting in your family.
That's
correct?
right. My father's an actor.
Wow.
And in fact, he was in Diamonds Are Forever, Chinatown, Ghost World. But I'm making my next feature right now, and it's the first time that my father and I have actually acted together. Wow. Yeah, I'm showing 10 minutes of that at my shows. It was just this last October. It was the first time he and I ever played a scene together. So I'm excited about that.
What happens? Like, I'm sure man. We work in the music business, and a lot of times we have artists up here who really, God forgive me, really aren't that great. Yeah. So I'm sure you've acted opposite actors who, God, man, I can't even get stimulated off of this. Acting with your father.
Yeah.
How was that awkward at any point, or was he just delivering?
No, he is a good actor.
Okay.
I mean, but it was interesting. It's when you're with your family, it is a bit different. Yeah. I'm very glad it's all worked out really well.
Yeah.
But I also had him step in and help with some of the writing, or I let him help with the writing. That was actually difficult. We butted heads quite a bit about that. But on set, I directed him in my second film as well, which is another one of the films that I tour with, and he was easy to direct. But as far as the writing, and ideas, that became more. There was some conflict, but it was worth it. It's good.
Crispin, I'm absolutely fascinated by you, and I'll tell you why. First of all, your name is Crispin, and you have to explain where your name from. Then you played the creepy thin man in Charlie's Angels. Right. I didn't understand why you were sniffing hair. And then this new movie, The Bagman, you came in with a fabulous Louis Vuitton bag that you told me you got on eBay. I just don't see the creepy thin man sitting on eBay bidding for a Louis Vuitton bag.
Well, which order should I answer it
Your
in?
Name first.
Okay, my name, Crispin, comes. I was born here in Manhattan, actually, at Lenox Hill Hospital in 1964. And my father's an actor. My mother retired as a dancer and actress when I was born. And so they went to see a lot of theater, and there was an off-Broadway production of Shakespeare's Henry V. Henry V. And there's a famous speech in that play about Saint Crispin. And they liked the production. I was just about to be born, and they gave that to me as my first name.
Okay. Now you have two. This is a 3-part question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you decide to sniff hair in Charlie's Angels? Was that written in, or that was your call?
No, that it was. I did come up with that, and it was a strange coincidence because I ended up funding a film, the second film in what's a trilogy about a man who has a severe case of cerebral palsy, and it was something that this fellow wrote. And he'd been locked in a nursing home when his mother died in his early 20s, and he didn't want to be there. The people that would take care of him would derisively call him an MR, a mental retard, which isn't a nice thing to say to anybody.
Yeah.
But Steve was of normal intelligence, and the emotional turmoil he must have gone through for the decade he was there, I can't even begin to imagine. This is a really strong film. I'm very proud of it. He wrote this screenplay the 10 years after he got out of this, or right away after he got out of the nursing home that he'd been in for 10 years. And it was in the style of a 1970s TV murder mystery movie of the week wherein he's the bad guy, which was important to Steve. If you think about it, usually a corporately funded film that has a character with a disability, that disability is a benefactor to society, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of people with disabilities that are benefactors to society, but it was very important to Steve that he played a bad guy because he had this idea, he talked about it, that he was a person with a disability, emphasis on a person with a disability, and people can have dark thoughts. And he wanted to play a bad guy, and he does in this movie. He also, there were very many interesting nuances, had basically a hair fetish. Now, that isn't how I got the idea for the character. I know this is a long story, but I did end up funding that movie with the money that I made from the money that I made for Charlie's Angels. And I while I was training, we trained for a long time. I was standing next to Drew Barrymore, and there was a Jet Li movie that was playing that the choreographers had worked with, and Jet Li was really good in this movie, and he stuck his fingers in his opponent's mouth and threw him over his shoulder. Damn. And I said and it's a good move. But I said to Drew Barrymore, that's the same move I have with your character, except I grabbed her by the hair. So I was thinking, well, I should do something like what Jet Li had done, but I thought I shouldn't. He had wiped the saliva off of his fingers after that he'd stuck his fingers in the mouth and threw them over his shoulder. And he was kind of disgusted by it. He was very good in this movie, his acting. But I thought, well, I shouldn't really be disgusted. I thought, well, I should like the hair. And then I did it. You do it in the second unit, and they kind of thought it was a joke. But I said, no, that's my take. And the McGee, the director, liked it, but the studio was nervous about it. They made me always do a take where I didn't do it, and then a take where I did it. And then I didn't know if any of it would be in there, but it was all in there. So
worked.
I'm happy it worked.
Man, Crispin Glover is here. And with that said, I was wondering if Tracy wore her hair down today.
Woo-hoo.
If maybe you could kind of, I don't know, maybe do her hair. Like, can you touch her hair?
Flip her and sniff her hair?
Sniff
Don't
her
pull
hair.
too hard. Maybe just the sniffing part, not the snagging part.
All right, Crispin Glover is here. The movie is The Bag Man. Appear on this Friday, February 28th. There's another movie where you played Willard Styles.
Yeah.
In the Willard remake. And you actually remade a very popular song.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's play that. 888-742-3345. Ben.
No one touches my wheelchair. It belongs to my dead mother.
Don't touch the wheelchair. Don't touch his wheelchair. Crispin Glover has joined us.
Yes.
It's the new movie, The Bag Man, which opens this Friday in New York and L.A. at the AMC Empire here in New York City. You got John Cusack, Robert De Niro, Rebecca DaCosta, who's beautiful. All these people in this great movie. It's good to have you here. I wanted to play that Ben remake.
Yeah.
First made famous by Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And then you remade it for the remake of Willard.
Right.
That came out in 04?
03, maybe. I'm not sure.
03,
One of those
04.
years, yeah.
I've always had a phobia of rodents.
Right. A lot of people do. I never did, luckily, because I worked with the rats a lot, and they were great. You know, they're really well trained. They're intelligent animals, and they scurry for food. So it's part of why, if they're a pest, they're a problem because they're smart. They know how to hide. But if I worked with them where I had a lot of emotional scenes, and they never made a single mistake ever. They were so perfectly trained. And, an actor, it's natural for an actor to make a mistake and you have to redo something. But these rats did it perfectly on every take. Because I had a scene where I'm supposed to be killing myself, and it's emotional. And there was one rat that was trained to sit on the shoulder, and he just was trained to sit. The other one was trained to go down to the knife. Yeah. So we did a kind of freeze in the middle of the scene because it was an emotional scene. And then they put the second rat on the shoulder, and he ran down and perfectly. We did 2 takes. He did it perfectly every time. I had another emotional scene in a funeral home where the rat had to do something. It was perfect every time.
So these rat actors are they union?
No, they're well trained by, I guess, union animal trainers. Yeah, okay. But I worked with a cat and a dog as well, and they were terrible.
Look at that.
Because cats and dogs, they just they do. They get food for whatever.
They're very spoiled.
They're
That's
spoiled,
what it is.
yeah, and they said they can do anything and everybody's okay with it. But rats are very specific.
Crispin, I'm fascinated. How are you not afraid of rodents and rats? How?
Well, kind of like mice, or to me, it's kind of a furry, cute animal, like a cat or
not
a
in
dog.
my house.
Not in the hood.
It's a dead animal in my house. I'm sorry.
No, I mean I've had rat infestations at my house in Los Angeles as well, and I of course had to treat them like pests. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to put poison out and get rid of them. There's just no question. But if they're a clean, well-trained animal, then they really are intelligent, interesting creatures.
You got it from Crispin Glover. Everything you ever thought about him is actually turning out to be true. All right, DB.
So in the movie, there's this bag that John Cusack is supposed to retrieve for Robert De Niro, but did they ever keep it under wraps as far as what was in the bag from the actors, so it wouldn't?
No, that was in the script. It was known.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They didn't try to fool us.
I don't want to tell you.
What was in the bag? I mean, you can't just.
I think you should see the film.
You got to see the movie Friday. All right.
Yeah, and it is. I'm happy with this film. I'm very very glad to be in it.
Wow.
Heather touched on this a little bit. You're known for playing so many eccentric characters.
Yeah.
So it made me think: do any of them mirror who you really are?
Probably not.
No.
I mean, I'm sure I have my eccentricities, but they're probably not the same as any of the characters I've played in my films.
Who would be like your best friend?
Out of all the characters he played?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I would necessarily be so. I mean, I do have friends, but I tend towards staying to myself a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, for me, the what's important when I'm playing a character and how I was trained in acting is to take a whatever portion of your own psychology that somehow can be similar to or be exactly like that character, and then utilize that. So there are portions, I suppose, of myself in these, but sometimes you really have to find something that's unusual. Right. But it's like I've always been on an artistic level attracted to more unusual things. But it not necessarily in my own life. Do I want these unusual things that might even be negative things? I tend toward liking those things artistically, which could be scary or strange or weird, whatever you'd call it. But that doesn't mean I really want my genuine life to be strange or scary.
Crispin Glover, man, you got to come back and talk with us some
Yeah.
more. Man. You
Yeah,
got us
I'd
so
love to.
intrigued.
Well,
And
thank you.
by the way, we're your friends.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you got Sway, Heather, and Tracy G.
Well, thank you.
NDB too. All right.
Yep.
The Bagman out this Friday. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.